Hello everyone. Is my voice audible, guys? So in last session, we have seen, right, how we can use Mongoose and how we can connect with MongoDB server database, and we can store the data in the database. So let me just add here like this. Yeah, now let's come back here. So in last class, what we have done, we are using front end means Postman tool, and we have created our backend. In that, we have created our endpoint, and this is our backend. And this is our endpoint. And we have database. We have here database. And this database we have created inside the database server. It means on the top of this, we have a database server. So that is MongoDB server. And we have created here database. Now, from our Postman, we are sending the post request to this endpoint. Now this endpoint will receive the post request, it will receive the data, and then it will connect with MongoDB server. After connecting with MongoDB server, it will connect with the database. After connecting with the database, now here we are creating the collection. Here we are creating collection. And inside that collection, whatever data we are getting from Postman, that data we are inserting here as a document. We are inserting one document here. Like this, we are inserting the document. And to create this collection and to insert the document, what we have done, first we have created schema. In that schema, we have defined the rules for our document. Then we have used model function. Using this, we got access to one model class. And to this, based on this model class, we have created one object. And while creating the object to this model class constructor, we have passed our data. We have given our data. Now that data is inserted inside this object. And on this object, we have called save function. The moment we call save function, now this data, whatever data you have in this object, it will be stored in the collection. And whenever we have created here this model class, at that time collection will be created. So at this stage, collection will be created. At this stage, in that collection, data will be added. So to get the collection, we have to use model. To create model, we need schema. And all these things we are getting through a package called Mongoose. All this we are getting through a package called Mongoose. So right now, if you remember in last class, what I have done inside my endpoint only, I have written all the code. So this is my route endpoint. Now in this endpoint only, I am receiving the data. I am connecting with server and database. I am creating schema. I am creating model. Creating the instance of model and saving the data and then sending the response. So everything created here. Now same thing if I want for another endpoint, same process if I want to do for another endpoint. For example, let's assume that here I am creating route dot post endpoint, and this time I am saying sign in. Now here also I have to use request response. Now here also I have to follow same process. Same process means first I have to access the data from the request. Then I have to connect with MongoDB server and database. Then I have to create schema. I have to create model. Then I have to insert or I have to verify data. So here also same steps we are repeating. Like this, if you create one more endpoint, there also you have to repeat same steps. So instead of writing all these steps in same file, what we are going to do and writing all the steps at one place. So instead of writing all the steps in one place and writing same steps multiple time, instead of doing this thing, we will separate this code into other files. So this code, whatever code we are going to write here or whatever code we have written in last class, this code we will separate into separate files now. How we will separate, see here. Now inside my backend, I am creating one folder called config. I am creating one folder called config. Inside this folder, I will create one file called MongoDB connection .js. I am creating a file called MongoDB connection.js. Now inside this file, I will write the code to connect my backend application with MongoDB server and the database. Here I want to write that code. So in last class, I have written that code here. This is the code we have written. So I will remove this code from here and I will shift that code here. How to shift? For that, I will create one function. I will say create MongoDB connection. I am creating one normal JavaScript function. In that function, I will paste that code. Now here I am using this Mongoose package. So to use that Mongoose package here, first I will import Mongoose package here. Now this function I will export from this file. Module.exports equals to create MongoDB connection. So if I am writing this code here, then no need of writing that code here. So that code I have removed. So that code I have removed from there. I have removed from this and I am shifting that code here. Now this function I will call whenever my server starts. So I don't want to connect with my MongoDB server whenever a request will come. I want to connect with my MongoDB server whenever my Node.js server starts. So to start the Node.js server, we are writing this function. So what I will do now, here, after starting my server, I will call this function, create MongoDB connection. It means whenever my MongoDB server will start, at that time only my application will get connected with MongoDB server and the database. So no need to write same code in all the endpoints now, because already it will be connected. So any endpoint can do the operations on the database. That is the reason I am creating this code in separate file, in separate function, and that function I am exporting from here. Now this function I will import here. I will say const create MongoDB connection equals to require, and here I will add the path. So if I say dot slash, I will get the config option, select config slash MongoDB connection.js. So from this file, I have imported this function. Now this function I will call here. Now see, whenever I stop my server and restart it. Now see here, I'm getting the, okay, this MongoDB URL I required. So what we need to do is this MongoDB URL is there, right? I will remove from here and I will add here because here we are using this MongoDB server URL. So we need that URL. So I will stop the server and restart it. Now see, I got server started and connected with MongoDB server and database. So at that moment only I am getting it. So here I got it. Now whenever our backend application starts, it will connect with the database. Now that code of connecting the code I have removed from here. I have removed from here. So how we are moving the code of connecting with our MongoDB server in separate file, in the same way, this schema code and creating model code also I will move from here. So in last class, we have created this schema and we have created this model. So I will remove this code from here. Now inside our backend, this is our backend. Now here you can create one folder. With whatever name you want, you can create the folder. So right now I am creating here one folder called model. In that model folder, I will create one file called use auth model dot js. And in this, I will paste that code. Now here also we required mongoose package. So first we will import mongoose package. Because here we are using this mongoose. So I'm importing mongoose package. So here schema is created and then model is created. Now this model I will export from here. Module dot exports equals to user. Now see, model folder is also created. Config folder is also created. So if you want, you can write everything at one place. But if you write everything at one place, then there will be confusion because your endpoint will contain lot of code. And if you need same code at different endpoint, again, you have to write same code one more time. So instead of writing at everything at one place, we are deciding to separate the code in different files and different folders. So our connection logic we written in the config and schema model we have written here. Now this model we require here because here we are using it. Now we have removed that, but we need that here. So we will import it. So here Mongoose is not required now. I will import here user model from require dot slash here require dot slash or maybe double dot slash. We have to say model slash auth model.js. Because here we are using this user constructor, right? That is why we are first importing the model. So now see, from our endpoint, so much code is removed now. Now only we have accessing the request body, creating the object and calling the save function. Now this code also I can move from here. So I can create one more folder called here controller. And in that, I will create one file called authcontroller.js. And in this controller, I will create one function. Function create user. And in this function, I will use request comma response. And whatever code I have here, right? This code, I will access from here. I will remove from here. And I will add here. So if I am adding here, now this user I required here. So I don't require this user here. I will remove from here and I will add here. Now see, in our endpoint, now there is no code. Everything is removed now. Now what I want to do, this function is there, right? Create user. This function I will export from here. Module exports equals to auth controller. Sorry, what is the function name? Create user. So this function in which we have written the code of accessing the data from request body, creating the model instance and calling the save function. Now this function I am exporting from here and this function I will import here in the route file. Here I will say auth controller equals to require and here I will add dot slash controller slash auth controller.js. And this auth controller is function. This function I will pass here. So no need to define this callback function now. Directly you can pass auth controller. Now see, our endpoint became so much simple. Whenever a request will come to this endpoint, this function will be called. Now where this function is present? This function is present in this path. So Node.js will go to this file and it will call this function. Now in this function, what we are doing? We are taking the data from the request. And then we are trying to create instance of user model. But where is this model? This model is coming from this file. So now your control will go to this auth model. So it will get this model. Now to get this model, we required schema. So that schema is created here. So from this file, we are going to get the model here. And on that model, we are going to call save. And here we are going to use response.send, response.send. But this time I don't want to send like this string. I want to send one object. I will say okay true. Okay true means our process was successful. And here I will say result. Result is user created successfully or account created, you can say. User account created successfully. Whatever message you want, you can give. If something goes wrong, then I don't want to send like this string. Instead of that, I want to send okay, false, and here error. I want to send that message. Like this, you can create whatever data structure you want. No one is going to stop you. So as a response, what you want to send, you can send. I am saying okay, false. Whenever we see okay, false, we will understand that something went wrong. So now see, suddenly this many folders came into picture. We got model, we got controller, we got config. In config, we have written the code for connecting our application with database server and database. So I will take this screenshot and I will add here. Now inside this config, we have written the code to connect with our MongoDB server and database. This is the code we have written. In controller, we have written the code to access request body data, create model instance, and save data in the database. That code we have written. Inside model, we have written the code to create schema, and we have written the code to create model. To create schema and to create model class. That code we have written. And inside routes folder, we have written the code to create endpoint. Create a endpoint. And in server.js, we have written the code to create HTTP server. Configure middleware. That is the code we have written, and configure endpoints. So in interviews, they will ask how you have created your backend application. Can you explain me backend application folder structure? Then you have to explain like this folders. You have to tell what folders you have created in that folder, what files you have created, and in those file, what code you have written. You have to explain like this. You should not explain what code you written. You cannot say that in my route file, I created one file called auth route. In that file, I written the code route.post double parenthesis slash sign up. Like this, you should not tell. You have to tell that in my backend application project, I have created one folder called routes. In that folder, I created one file called auth route. And in this file, I have created my endpoints for sign up and for sign in. I have created my endpoints for sign up and sign in. In my application, I have created a folder called controller. In that folder, I have written actual business logic. Like I am accessing the data from the request body, I am creating the instance of my model class and saving that data in the database. In my model folder, I created one file called auth model, and in that I created my user schema and model class. This is model class. Like this, you have to explain. See guys, this is not a fresher level training. So being fresher, if you are able to understand all this means you are much more ahead than the people who are freshers. So if you don't have trust on my words, then if someone in your known having some experience in the industry, ask them. This is my project session. These are the things I am learning. So this is fresher level or it is a experience level, ask them. They will tell you. So here, if you are able to hard work, if you are able to practice, you are able to understand the sessions, means you are much more ahead than the people who is having experience and even the people who are freshers. You're much more ahead than that. So if you understand this, in future, you can create any application. Here we are learning how to create chat application, food ordering application. Tomorrow, if I ask you, can you create e-commerce application? You will say, yes, I can create. And you will be able to create. If I ask you, can you create one application like Facebook? You will say, yes, I can create. Because you got the experience with two applications, chat application, food ordering application. Now, if you understand the requirement of e-commerce application and Facebook kind of application, then you will be able to do. Process will be same, just little bit requirement will change. So once we're done with these two projects, I will take the use case of e-commerce and Facebook and I will explain you. 1 or 2 sessions I will take and I will just explain. This is my requirement. I want to create like this. Then let's see how many of you can answer it. But once we're done with these two application development. Okay. Understood, guys? See, it is little challenging for you because you guys are learning first time. So if already you know backend, then it is very easy for you. But if you are learning backend first time, then it is little challenging for you. It is challenging, but not impossible. Because even I was fresher at certain time. Once upon a time, even I was fresher. I learnt all this. At this moment, you are fresher. So you are also learning. After a few years, you will explain this to someone who is fresher at that moment. So if you don't understand, the best part of your generation is you will get recorded videos. So you can watch this video any number of times and you can learn slowly. You can practice it. But when I was student, we don't had this option of recorded videos. So we have to listen our session. We have to create notes. We have to depend completely on notes. So if we used to take 4 hours to learn the things, now you guys can learn same thing within 2 hours because of more resources you have. So from now, for any requirement, if I want to create a schema and model, I will create inside this model folder. We will create schema for so many things. You will understand. If I want to create actual logic, if I want to write logic, I will write in controller. Now config we won't change. Oh, config part is done. For this application, config part is done. So we will not touch config now. Next, routes. Config part is done at certain level because we require one more thing that I will explain in coming session. So right now, like 99% config we will never touch. If we touch for slight change, we will touch at the end of this application development. So in coming sessions, again, we will add here more files in the controller. We will add more files in model. We will add more files in route. Here only we will play. This is what MVC architecture. M stands for model. V stands for view. Now, in our case, view will be React application. And C stands for controller. So here we are following MVC architecture. So now this is your HTTP server file. You have controller file. You have route file. You have model file. Okay. So this is our HTTP server file. Let's assume that this is our model file. This is our route file. This is our controller file. Now this is front end. Now from front end, you will send the request to server first. From server, it will go to route. From route, it will go to controller. In controller, we are using model. So it will use model. It will get that model. It will do some kind of operation. Then this controller will connect with the database. Then database will send some response back to this controller. And from this controller, we are sending response back to the client. See the flow. So from client, we will send the request to server. From server, we will connect with route. From route, we will connect with controller. From controller, we will connect with model. Model will be created. That model we will access in the controller. And then from controller, we will connect with database. We will do some required operation on database. Database will send some response back to controller. And from controller, we will send response back to the client. Okay. So this is how these things are working. Understood, guys, this part, how I am moving my code. So if you compare last session folder, in that you will see that in route file, if I open last session folder, so our session number 16 was last session. So here, if I open this auth route, okay, see in our sign up endpoint, we written the code to access the data from request body. We have written the code to connect with MongoDB server and database. We created schema code. We created model code. We have created the instance of that model class. And then we are saving the data. And from here, we are sending back response to the client. So everything we have written in one file. Now, instead of writing everything in one file, now in today's session, we have learned how to separate our code. So in route, so in auth route, you will see just we have this endpoint. And here we are passing auth controller as a second argument. Just passing auth controller. We are not defining it, but we have defined it. Where we have defined in controller file. Here we have defined. So how we are create user? So here we are importing it like a. So if I go back to my route, here we are importing like a auth controller. So here if I want, I can use create user also, because this is just variable name. And if I'm using here create user, here also I have to say create user, so that you will not have any confusion. So from my auth controller, I am getting this create user function. So here we have created that function. Now in this function, we are using model class, but where is our model? Our model is present in auth model file. So we are going to the auth model. Here we are getting this model. This is our schema. And then once we create the instance by passing our request body data, we are saving it. So same code, whatever yesterday I have written, same code I have written today, just separating the code into different folders, different files. That is what I have done today. Yesterday, whatever we have written, same thing I am writing in today's session also. Just separating my code in different files and using module system, common JS module system I am using, so that I can access the code of one file into another file. Now people will ask one question they will ask in the interview. Can you tell me in real time how common JS module system is used? Can you tell me how common JS module system is used in real time? Then you can say, now I had a requirement of developing sign up functionality. So to develop sign up functionality, I required multiple things. For my sign up functionality, I have to create controller. I have to write the logic to access the data from request body. Then that data I need to save in the database. So to do this, I required one package called Mongoose. Using that Mongoose package, I can connect with my MongoDB server and database. So what I have done, I created one file called MongoDB connection in my config folder. In that file, I have written the logic of connecting my backend application with MongoDB server and database. But this logic I want to execute when my server is created. But my server is created in server.js file. So how I can access the code which I have written in MongoDB connection.js file in server.js file? For that, I have used common JS module pattern. So using common JS module pattern, the code of my MongoDB connection file I have exported. Using common JS module pattern in my server.js, I have imported it. And that function I am calling when I am creating the server. So this is how common JS module pattern we are going to use in the real time. You explained common JS module pattern with one example. This is called real-time example of common JS module pattern. So when you are learning first time, it will be tough. You will have a confusion. When you practice, understand, things will become very easy. And when you do same thing 2, 3 times, you will master the things. This is same for everyone, whether you, me, or anyone else. Okay. So I will stop the session today here. I want you guys to understand this, what I have done today, practice it so that in tomorrow's session, we will see how we can connect our front end with backend and database. How to connect our React with NodeExpress and MongoDB. And we will implement our sign up functionality. Sign up end-to-end functionality in our chat application. So now in our chat application, people can create their accounts. So to create their accounts, we are creating the sign up functionality. After sign up functionality, we will create sign in functionality. Now sign in functionality will become easy for us because we know how to implement sign up. So in similar fashion, we will create sign in functionality also. That's all guys for today's session. Now you are understanding project sessions means how it will be and how much time you require for practice. Learning normal React.js, just learning React.js is one thing and learning project development with React.js is another thing. So learning React looks very easy. You will be able to learn. But learning project will be like you require a lot of dedication for it. Okay, right now you will see no one will teach project batches in any platform. So very rarely you will find the people are teaching because I know how much complex it is to explain. If you want, you can try. You can explain someone whatever you are doing. You will understand how it is, how challenging it will be. Yeah, that's all guys. If you have any doubts, let me know. If you don't have any doubts, yeah, you guys can drop. I will upload this video today. And anyways, code I am updating right now, so you can go through it.
Yesterday video is released, huh?
Yeah, released on YouTube. I have added. See,
Okay.
I will add the link in our WhatsApp group. Okay.